Good everyone, I'm Organization, and today we have a review of the Chinese Starter Pack. This is a relatively new pack, and well, before I begin, I'd like to immediately point something out. Some of you eagle-eyed viewers will notice that this is not the Premium Stuart. There's a good reason for that. This is because I don't own that vehicle. However, it is exactly the same in terms of performance, characteristics, and everything else as this one, which is the Tech Tree one. However, it is likely that I will be picking up the first PTG at some point in the future, probably during the November sale. So all you need to know is it's pretty much the M3A3 in the tree, with just a few distinct markings. That's all you need to know. There are no performance differences that are of note, and even if there was, then I would point them out to you. Anyway, so the M3A3 Stuart and the H81A2 is what comes in this pack. Additionally, you also get 7 days of premium and 120,000 SL. Now, straight away, do I think this is a good pack? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. Whilst I may not have the first PTG, which would make more sense in this given scenario, it is still worthy of talking about purely based on the M3A3 alone. Now, over the years, the Stuarts have gone up in BR because of people stat padding their living arses off in these things. And the fact that even in this day, I see people like 12,000 games in Stuarts really solidifies how good of tanks they are if people still keep doing it. And this is mainly due to the combined ability of both the armor, the engine, and the overall speed, as well as the excellent little gun up here. So let's go into it. So the armor is no different from a regular Stuart, well, M3A3 that is. You have a small 50mm plate down here, you've got 44.4 down here, the upper plate is 25, sloped back at 50 degrees, sorry, and the sides are 25, and the rear is also 25. The turret is where it gets interesting though. On the front it's 38.1, but then you have a 50.8 around the gun mantlet, which is what causes a lot of bounces on Stuarts. The sides are 31.75 and the rear is 31.75 as well. On top of the Stuart, it's half an inch, aka 12.7, and as a result, this is not very good against other 50 cal armed aircraft, which is why I'm going to discuss the H81 in a bit more detail. And additionally, there's a weak spot of the turret ring, which can be exploited on this tank, and not really any other Stuart has this problem other than I think it's the M3 in the American tech tree, and obviously the other M3A3 Stuarts in the appropriate tech trees. And of course, we now need to talk about the main gun, which, as I said, there's a good reason why people stat pad in these things to this day, is because of how good that gun is. So the 37mm M6 has a decent reload, decent penetration, very forgiving shrapnel on such a small round, and with that high fire rate and good turret traverse, as well as this thing's mobility, you really have a recipe for a little go-kart with a gun on it. As for the shell, I recommend just maining the upgraded shell, which is the M51B1B2. This is an excellent round with 87mm of penetration, great I was about to say logistics, I meant velocity, half awake brain talking here. You additionally, unlike other real starter packs, because I don't think there's any other starter tank that I can think of that gets this, but this vehicle does get access to smoke grenades. This also includes the premium for anyone that's asking. And I believe these fire single. There was a change log, but I didn't read it, but it mentioned Stuarts. I think these fire separately now. If I find out, I'll put it in a pinned comment, as well as links to the review of the H81. Well, in fact, no, that'll be in the description, so there'll just be a pinned comment where it says if it fires single or not. I honestly don't remember, but even so. Combine that all in, plus a roof mount of 30, this thing is an excellent little tank to pick up. And of course, if you're buying a pack, you get this, and this, the H81A2. You might recognize this, obviously, if you know a little bit about history, that is, for the Flying Tigers. I'm not even going to talk about them. I'd rather, if you don't know about the Flying Tigers, I'll let you do your own research in your own time, because that adds a bit more to the flavor. But if you don't, or if you do know about this plane and the Flying Tigers, you'll know why I'm going to give this thing a plus point alone. The plus point for that is its history. And if you really need to know what kind of aircraft this is, outside of a different designation, this is simply a P-40B. That's all you need to know. It's an excellent little plane. It does suffer from high altitude sickness, aka it wheezes above 4,000 meters, which is about 12,500 feet, give or take. Obviously, I don't use meters very often, and converting it, I don't necessarily fully know, but anything above 12,000 feet, this thing will struggle. So, going into the weaponry of this aircraft, you have two 50 cal machine guns, and you also have four 30 cal machine guns. Additionally, unlike quite a few starter pack vehicles, you do have access to a 500-pound bomb, which isn't the biggest bomb, but it is still very capable. Combine that in with the top-down ability of the 50 cals, you have some excellent CAS backup here. And even if you get into a 3-7 match, this plane can still do some work, so don't be worried about that. Combine that with its good SL modifiers anyway, this thing is excellent for starting off your tree, and it will help you get through the low-tier Chinese vehicles quite easily. And especially if you needed a replacement for this thing, or if you wanted some backup, my personal suggestion for that is the V12D. This thing is fantastic. If you're not sure, I'll leave in that same pinned comment about the M3A3 smoke grenades. I will also leave a link to the review of the V12D. But yeah, this thing is absolutely amazing. It does have a little bit of armor, but it's not going to protect it too much. It does have a similar problem with the Stuka, where all of its oil and cooling systems are all in one single part. So if you just shoot here, you're going to hit at least 2 of the 3 with a good machine gun. And heck, if you're even fighting another nation's M3A3, they could do that to you with the 30 cals. I suppose that's a little bit of disproving how lazy Gaijin can be, but you know. And of course, there's going to be someone in the comments saying that these aren't originally Chinese vehicles, and that is correct. And I don't see a problem with that. However, it would have been nice if we had something like, I think it's the Chung Expo added to the game. I'm remembering off of very long memories here, but I think it's called the Chung Expo. I would have preferred that over the H-81, but since that's not in the game, this is a perfect substitute because it makes perfect sense. And realistically, if we go to the Chinese tech tree anyway, you're not exactly going to start people off with a Ki-45 now, are you? But that's my review for the Chinese starter pack. I think this is an excellent little pack. As for where I'd put it in my tier list, well, I would say it's definitely competing for, I would probably say, third place with the American starter pack. But of course, I'm going to be doing a tier list of the starter packs in the future. As I said last time, though, Israel doesn't have one. So until that happens, although I doubt it personally, I will simply do a tier list based off of the nations that are listed here. But anyway, I will leave you all to it. I hope you enjoyed today's review on the Chinese starter pack, and I will catch you all on the next one.